And we're a go.
We're a go.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Amber. I'm the West Coast medium, and this is our very first kind of, what kind of video? FAQ kind of video. We are really not tech savvy, so we think we've set it up so that it's going to work. Hopefully the volume's good, but we'll learn as we go. If people have suggestions on how to make things easier, you can comment on the video below. So yeah, this is my sister Michelle. She's going to do a little introduction.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm Amber's sister. She just said that. And I'm the one that convinced her to make the video. So that's why I'm here. I'm also here to interview her. So I know you aren't here to listen to me talk, so I'll make my part quick. So I just wanted to explain why we decided to make this video. So like me, a lot of people that see Amber for the first time are just really kind of blown away and excited and sit back and listen to the messages that come through, and it isn't actually till after the fact that you start to think about what it means, and you know, with respect to life and death and the afterlife and why we're here and all of that stuff. So anyways, so I thought it'd be neat to kind of go over some of those questions, because she seems to get them after the fact. A lot of people message her after they leave from a reading to kind of, you know, follow up on these types of things. So anyway, so this interview is a combination of a lot of the FAQ type questions, a bit of an introduction to what she does, and also we've received a number of questions from her Facebook followers, so thank you to all of them for sending. So I will dive right into the questions.
Yay.
Yay. Anyways, okay, so first question. So although your business name is West Coast Medium, being a medium isn't your only gift. Can you explain what your gifts are?
All right, so I'm a medium, which means I can connect with people who have crossed over. I'm also an empath, but times a million. So spirit can make me see, feel, hear, and sense things that other people can't. But I can also feel all the feelings of the person sitting with me and all of the feelings of everyone connected to them in their life that is still alive. I'm also what I call spiritually intuitive. Others would say psychic. I don't know, that word to me still isn't quite so comfortable. Because there's no sense of time or space on the other side, spirit can provide guidance for the future or show me memories of the past if it's going to mean something to them. I can feel your nerves. Take a breath.
I was about to say sorry. I'm nervous.
So relaxed all the time, but I do get to feel other people's emotions. So before the video, I asked spirit to help so that we wouldn't be nervous. So it might take a couple minutes just to chill us out.
Okay. All right, so we went through your gifts. So what does it feel like to be you? How do you see or hear spirits?
Feels pretty great to be me now. For the first 34 years of my life, it didn't feel so good sometimes. Now that I've got kind of everything under control and figured out, and I know that I'm not crazy, it's actually pretty good being me. It's not like what you see on like ghost stories and stuff like that. There's not dead people just walking by me all the time. I really get to choose and filter kind of when I experience it. To everybody else who's around me, that's not true, because they can feel all the dead people. But I don't let them. Well, they respect me and I respect them, and so we have more boundaries now. I see and hear and feel spirit. I guess it's what you call my third eye. It's kind of like a dimension that exists in my peripheral and back here. If I'm confused and there's too many, I can kind of bring them out and say, okay, you stand over here and you stand over here. But most of the time, it's like I'm part of something that isn't here. I can see their physical bodies and what they show me, but I can also feel everything about them. So what they died from, they'll tell me any quirks about their personality. But, oh gosh, through the whole thing, there's going to be spirits popping in going, but you got to say this. They want me to say that it's like it's a good feeling, like it's like kind of a warmth, and they have so much love that I feel it's almost like a bit of a high kind of thing, I guess. You just feel a lot of warmth. Is that good enough?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, so just so you know, it's not just Amber providing the responses to these questions. She's got a lot of helpers right now.
Well, and since I often ask them not to bug me till after I've had my coffee, and this morning they were here like right at the crack of dawn, because mostly guides rather than dead people, but they'll answer most of the questions and help me.
they're excited about this video.
They're very excited.
Okay, and this is a question someone sent in. So how did you know when you were ready to connect with the other side?
Actually, my husband helped with that. He heard a little girl that was trying to get me to deliver a message. And for some reason in my mind, I figured at that time, if he heard it too, he could tell people I wasn't crazy. So it was a lot easier for me to accept that this is the way I was. I was born this way. I've known I was this way my whole life. But I didn't want people to think I was crazy. So it took him hearing it too. And as soon as I decided, okay, I'm good with this, it just didn't stop. Kept going.
Good. So what should people know before coming to see you?
Really nothing other than to be open. Honestly, Spirit kind of takes care of it. If you come to me and you're really nervous or you're grieving or any of those things, Spirit knows you better than even you know yourself, and they kind of take care of the reading. So just be open. Try not to be too scared, but if you are, that's okay too.
I was very, very nervous my first time.
She was.
Okay, so we'll get right into it here. So Amber, what is the purpose of life?
It's a really simple, boring answer. The purpose of life simply is to just learn. Each life we live is like taking a grade or two in school to help us on the other side. I know a lot of people don't like that answer because we want it to be this big, huge, meaningful thing, but it really is just to learn, whether it's learning in a really difficult way or a really easy way. There's kind of main themes that we focus on to learn in each life, but it really is just to learn.
Okay. So, this is, I think, a question, you might have it twice, but anyways. So, if the purpose is to learn, why do the lessons have to be so hard?
Well, if you think about it, like, say, going to medical school is really hard. If you decide to just do none of the work, but they still give you an A, you haven't learned anything. So kind of the harder the lessons, the more it benefits you on the other side. So sometimes we choose to live lives that aren't that hard, just because maybe we need to teach rather than learn, or maybe we're living other lives that are really, really difficult. But I don't want to say that yet, because I think we have a question about that. They're saying something else that I should go more into detail, because they're really excited. But I think I'll leave that for later. And now they made me forget what you even asked.
That's funny. Okay. So why do the lessons have to be so hard? So you kind of
that you learn more.
You learn more if it's harder.
Yeah.
Okay. Soul contracts. So that is a term that neither one of us were familiar with.
No, not at all.
But now we are. So can you explain that to people? What is a soul contract?
Soul contract is kind of like laying out a plan for your life. On the other side, you have guides that help you plan each life. And you decide what you're going to learn. You decide who you're going to live with, how you're going to experience life together. That includes your children, your family, your friends, even acquaintances. You all decide and kind of make an agreement with each other what you're going to learn and how you're going to exist to each other, what kind of relationship you're going to have, whether it's good or bad, because technically on the other side, good and bad don't exist. So they wouldn't see a really tumultuous, bad relationship as bad like we would. And before you come into this life, you've all decided this together. So there's no actual piece of paper that you sign and it's like a binding contract, but it's just kind of an agreement with your guides, with yourself, and with all the other souls that you're going to exist with on how you want to live this life and what you want to learn. Man, they are good.
Okay,
they make it make so much sense.
Yeah. So, okay, so if everything's decided before you come, can you explain how that ties into free will? How do we have free will if that's the case?
So free will definitely does exist. But when you think of a choice in life, so think of any choice, maybe making that choice, maybe you have 5 options. You could choose 5 different ways of going, which is a lot for one choice, but just pretend. Off those 5 options, you have 5 more off of each one. And that goes infinitely. But because time and space doesn't exist on the other side, you plan out every eventuality so that your human self can make a choice, but off of each of those choices there's only a certain amount, right, that you could choose off of that. So yes, you have free will, but really there's only so many places one human life is going to take you, and your soul has thought of every one of those places and planned infinitely and with great detail every direction you possibly could go. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Okay, you talked a little bit about spirit guides, and a lot of people aren't going to know what that is. So can you?
I didn't really.
What
Did you know before?
No, I
didn't really before.
To be honest, I didn't really believe in any of this kind of stuff before.
She was my biggest skeptic.
I've got way too much proof now. So spirit
guides are with you from the moment you're born, actually before that till the moment you die. Everybody has permanent guides that are with them their entire life. And then you'll have temporary guides step in if you go through something big. So maybe a chronic illness, maybe a terminal illness, a really traumatic pregnancy. You'll have guides step in, or like a loss that, I feel like I just drooled, that will step in just to help you through that specific time. They know everything about you. You planned your entire life with them, and when you get back to the other side, you will like debrief your entire life with them. They want what's best for your soul, the best path. That's not necessarily the easiest path, but they want what's best for your soul, and they try their darndest to get you to listen. So a lot of people will come to me for a mediumship reading, realize I can talk to guides as well, and then they'll book another reading, or I always try and fit in like 10 or 15 minutes of spirit guide work in each reading, just because I find it so valuable to talk to the spirits who know you best. Mm-hmm. Makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is that the same as angels?
No. So spirit guides have lived physical lives, many of them, and then normally they're done living their lives and they're staying on the other side now and have chosen to be a guide as their job. Angels have not ever lived a physical life as far as I know. That doesn't mean they can't take physical form. So I know we've all heard of instances, say, where like a car crashes and all of a sudden there's a person there. But then when, say, the ambulance shows up, this person is gone and they've just pulled somebody from a car wreck, and then that person's gone and nobody can find them and nobody knows where they came from, how they got there. They can take a physical form to help out in a situation where maybe something happened and your soul wasn't quite ready for that, or your soul didn't want to do that. They'll come and help you through it, save you, get you back on track to where you're supposed to be. But they're kind of the highest spirit on the other side, other than the very highest spirit, which is whatever you believe in. God, the highest spirit, highest source of energy.
Okay. So what happens when we die?
It depends how you die. If you die from a really long-term chronic painful illness, you go to what I see as like a soul spa. I see it as an actual spa, even though I know probably it's not. Mm-hmm. And you can choose to stay there as long as you want. Because it's heavy on the soul to carry a physical illness like that. So you just go there so you can kind of let go of that illness. If you haven't died that way, you go to the other side. Is this another question about hell?
Wait, it's okay. Just keep going.
So
it's fine.
Hell doesn't exist. I was a Christian for a long time. I now know it doesn't exist. But there are levels to heaven. So depending on where you were in life, kind of what grade you completed here in this physical life, it will determine what level you go to on the other side. But they're all really great. They're all full of love. They're just different levels of learning. Although I have learned, even though I say different levels, it's not like they exist in different places. You're all still together with all of your family. It's like you're all together, but then you're going to school each day and you're in a different classroom kind of thing. It's not that you're separated because you maybe haven't learned quite as much as another person that you love. You're all in the same place. You're just learning different things.
Mm-hmm. Good. Can you talk, it's not on here, but a little bit about the life review?
So your spirit guides kind of participate in that. So right when you get to the other side, usually pretty quickly you go into what I call your life review. So I see it as like sitting around a big round table, although I know that's probably just my human mind thinking. But you sit around a big table with your guides and kind of the guiding energy of that highest energy God or whoever you believe in. And you talk about everything that happened in your life, but you don't only look at it from your point of view. You look at it also from everybody's point of view that you affected. So say maybe somebody lived a hard life, they were maybe like an abusive alcoholic or something like that. They really only saw their side of things when they were alive, but now you have to go back kind of through each decision that you made and look at how it affected the people in your life and kind of like make amends with yourself. There's nobody there judging you. There's no guy going, well, you're being punished because you did this or you didn't do that. You just have to look at it because it's a real learning opportunity. It's like the test you take after you finish a grade in school, where you just discuss everything and you learn from it, so that when you go into planning your next life, you can decide what you want to change or what you want to keep or what you want to do.
Okay, good. Okay, so can you tell this, I think, I can't remember if this is one that was sent in or if I put this in here. Can you tell me about the other side?
Oh.
Or can they? Yeah, let them tap in for that.
The other side, they all reference it as home. So to all of us, it's home. We just don't know it. It's literally like when I see it and feel it, it's just like literally like white light. It's just love. And that's why we come here to learn, because it's hard to learn about hate or anger or sadness if you're always surrounded in love. It's a place where everybody's accepted, no matter where you've gone in your life, what's your social status, your culture, your sexuality, the things that you've done, any of that, the things other kind of organized religion would say is sins. There it just doesn't exist. There's no right or wrong, and there's no punishment. There's just acceptance and love for everybody that exists. And they're quite involved in our everyday life. They really want to guide us, and they want to teach us, and they want to help us learn. I think a lot of the times we forget that. A lot of people feel really, really lonely, but we're really, truly never alone, which kind of is freaky, but really good, in a good way.
So how do we learn to listen to them?
Everybody can kind of learn to listen depending on where you are in your life. Some people are just, they choose not to have that consciousness because that's what they need to learn in this life. But you just talk to them like you would talk to anybody else. It helps if you're in kind of a quiet place. Choose your favorite place you like to go and quiet your mind. And when you first say you want to talk to your guides, when you first start talking to them, ask them yes or no questions, because more than that, you're not going to be able to understand. Listen to your gut instinct, your intuition, because a lot of the times that is them helping to kind of get us on the best track for our soul. A lot of us ignore that. And do whatever you can to get your energy up so that you feel really good and so that you're not so hard on yourself. Humans are very hard on themselves for things that we planned and we chose. So yeah, does that answer the question? Okay.
All right.
I'm not nervous anymore. Are you nervous still? Or have they
Not
helped you?
really.
Oh, good.
No. Because I'm just remembering that it's just a camera and just us. You know, nobody's watching us. They will be, but sorry, we don't know how to do this live, so it's pre-recorded. So, anyways, okay. So you talked. I mean, I think I know the answer, but you can maybe talk about it a little more. So, is there such a thing as having past lives?
So this is gonna blow your minds. There definitely is such a thing as other lives. Technically, they're not really in the past because time and space doesn't exist. I know, you're living them all at the same time. So people like me can actually feel, in a way, what is going on in your other lives. I've had the question quite a few, they're making me want to make this example, I don't know why, which I hadn't thought of before, but I've had a few questions, I think actually you asked this. What's going to happen when we finally destroy our planet? You know, like, then what? What happens to humanity and our race, our existence? In actual fact, because there's no time or space, we'll just go back to living in a time when, not back because it isn't back, to living in a time when our planet was completely fine. There's also other dimensions. This gets into a whole bunch of stuff, but if you guys are really interested in this kind of stuff, just comment below and then we'll maybe do another video that just has to do with kind of the expansiveness of what exists really. But yes, there's past lives that we are living concurrently.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, simultaneously is the one we live now.
So you're living a lot.
And actually what you do in this life, say you make a choice to learn a really hard lesson when you could have gone an easier way in this life, that'll affect another life. So maybe in the other life, you choose to learn an easier lesson when you had thought you might have to learn a hard one. It's very strange to comprehend, but makes sense.
Okay. So does that mean that there's like one higher consciousness type life looking down on all of your other lives? Like, is there somewhere, are you out there knowing everything that's going on?
Your higher self is always on the other side, again, because time and space don't exist. So your highest self is also on the other side, guiding each one of your lives and participating.
So you're already dead.
Kind of, I guess, yeah. So that takes away the fear of death. You're already there.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of past lives, it's kind of soulmates. What does that mean?
So soulmates do exist, but not in the traditional sense we think. We kind of throw that word around really easily. Not very often is a soulmate actually a partner in this life. A lot of the times you won't even live at the exact same time. So like that whole saying, are you going to meet your soulmate? It's actually quite rare. And a lot of the time your soulmate is actually a sister or a best friend, a brother or a child or a parent. It definitely is not within the kind of human context that we always put it. And a lot of the times, one half of the soulmate pair will kind of stay on the other side to help out, and you won't necessarily always live at once at the same time. It's a lot of passion to have in one human life. A lot of, not passion, but energy. Yeah.
So maybe to expand on that, you can talk a little bit about how your relationships, one life to another, how your relationship to that person could change.
So we have what I refer to as soul groups, and we will continuously over and over again come into lives within this one soul group, and it can be made up totally different. So I know, as an example, with Michelle, in another life, she's my mother. In another life, what was the other? Why does that keep going like that? I think in another life we're like just like best friends. There was a male component there, though. One of us was the boy. I don't remember. But you can be different things to each other. You'll continue to live. So, you know, your child in this life might be your parent or your brother or your friend or your sister in another life. Gender also doesn't exist on the other side in the conventional way we think. So you can kind of, one life maybe you're a woman, the other maybe you're a man, and the other one maybe you're transgendered. So you kind of come back meaning different things to each other over and over again and decide what you're going to learn from each other.
Can you come back an animal?
I'm a little cloudy on this. I don't know. Maybe I do know. You know, I don't think so. Why aren't you being clear? They're not being clear on this. That's a gray area for me, because I feel like animals have kind of already figured out the unconditional love part of things that we have a harder time with. And they're quite a high energy soul, and it's not something I've seen, but I'm not gonna negate it and say it doesn't happen. I just don't have experience with that.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go to this one. Okay, so this is one that was sent in. So, do our loved ones, so spirits that are on the other side, know what's going to happen in our lives, or is it just our spirit guides?
Our loved ones also know, because again, there's no sense of time or space. So they've seen our whole life exist. They blink their eyes and they're with you again on the other side, the you that's existing in this life. Of course, they know absolutely everything about us. So do we about them. It's a hard concept to understand that time and space doesn't exist, and that there is that kind of eternal knowledge on the other side. But of course, they know everything that's going to happen for us. They won't necessarily intervene or try to change things or anything like that, like our spirit guides will, or try and influence us. They would rather just support us and watch us go through things, good or bad.
I'm going to read a question. It's kind of long, but I just want to, and hopefully you can answer it. So this is another one that was sent in, so thank you.
Read it loud.
If we are spirit having a human experience, and spirit is beautiful and perfect just the way they are, then why is it that we have lessons to learn in this life? Should we not just be able to exist as spirit in this human experience?
And it wouldn't be a human experience, it would be a spiritual experience. And we wouldn't be learning much. You know, yes, we are kind of a higher energy on the other side, but we're a higher energy with just love. And that does sound really great, but you need everything else to balance it out. So you need this human experience. And actually, when you're on the other side, you want this human experience. You want to be able to do these things and learn this way.
Okay. So, do our loved ones choose? So there's another one. I think all the rest are actually sent in. So they're not ones. They're not FAQs. They're examples that they're questions people actually sent to Amber in the last couple weeks. So, do our loved ones choose to come back for another life on Earth? Once we cross over, would we see them or have to wait until they are back?
Often they'll stay on the other side until we're there, but they definitely can come back if they want. But again, the no time or space, of course they're there waiting for us in a way that makes sense in a human way. So if they were choosing to go into another life, they'll just pop forward so that they can be there for us, although it's not really popping forward. But definitely, even if they have, if part of their soul. That Spirit has, oh, this is more helpful, thank you. Spirit has explained it that our higher self, our soul, is on the other side, and every part of that soul that lives a life is a whole in and of itself. So there's a whole on the other side. There's a whole in every, not a whole like this, but a whole soul, an entire soul living each one of those lives. So even if part of, like, they've taken and decided to live a life, their higher self is still a whole soul, a complete spiritual being on the other side, and will be waiting for you when you cross over. So I think that's maybe in reference to people thinking, you know, maybe they lost a baby, but now another person has been born and has so many of the same characteristics, and oh my gosh, it seems just like the same soul. Yes, that's entirely possible. Rare, but entirely possible.
Okay. If a person has become estranged from someone on earth, will they stay estranged when they cross over? Do both spirits have to want that for it to happen?
They do not stay estranged. They actually, normally the people that cause you the most grief, the most hurt, the most pain, and the most anger here in this human life are the very first ones you embrace and thank on the other side. But because before you came into this life, you decided your soul bond was strong enough, you loved each other enough, that you can survive going through these awful things together. So all of those people that you cursed and you can't stand because they were so mean to you and you can't believe they did these awful things, actually are some of your closest soul bonds on the other side. So there you go.
That one's kind of neat. I like
Yeah.
that. So thank them for being mean.
Yes. So really do, because you're learning a lot. So those ones that put you down the most and make you feel the most awful about yourself, just have gratitude for them because they're helping you learn a ton.
Okay. What is the best way to reach your full potential in life?
Well, a big question.
That's a big question. It might be different for everybody.
Yeah, it really is different for everybody. But honestly, just be more accepting of yourself. People are so hard on themselves. Just be more accepting that you are complete and whole and wonderful just in and of yourself. This is totally one of my guides talking, very wise. It can get frustrating for them on the other side that we beat ourselves up so much and we are so hard on ourselves and we have so much regret and guilt. There's really no point to regret or guilt at all, because everything you're doing, even the things you think are awful or unforgivable or beyond comprehension or things other people have done to you, those are what you're going to learn the most from. So and also listening to your gut. A lot of people get gut feelings and gut instinct and go, oh, that sounds too easy, I'm not doing that. So really try and listen to your gut, because it's your guides telling you where to go.
Good answer. Okay, this one, yeah, we've already kind of answered it. A lot of people are interested in, like, souls. So if souls reincarnate, can you still connect with them in their previous life if they are now in another body? So you've kind of answered that already. Right?
I think I did, yeah. Yeah, you can connect with everybody. Once you get past the real human way of thinking that this is our life, it's the only one that exists right now, and all of the ones in the past don't exist anymore, and now we're living this one, and maybe we'll live them in the future. You got to get past that way of thinking and just think of everything as a whole, as a moving timeline as you're moving through school. Sometimes you fail a grade and you got to go back a little, right? But it's more fluid than static.
Okay. So this, I don't know how you'll answer this, but you can try. What is it like for someone that passed away 10 weeks ago?
Again, the no sense of time or space. It's the same as someone who passed away 10 days ago, 6 months ago, 10 years ago. It does get easier for them to communicate with me if they've been over there a little bit longer. But I think that has more to do with the people grieving here. They don't want to hurt you in any way. So if something's really raw and fresh, they're a little more careful about what they say. But their time doesn't exist. So they're happy on the other side. It's home. They've been home for 10 weeks. It's a good thing.
How long do you recommend people wait when someone passes away before coming to see you?
It totally depends. I think allow yourself some time to grieve. Because I think if you come as soon as they've passed away, because maybe you didn't get to say goodbye, or maybe you're just really hurt and you didn't say the things you were going to say, or you think they were hurt, you're going to be really raw and open, and they're going to be really cautious about what they say to you because they don't want to interrupt your process. So give yourself some time to grieve. Give yourself some time to where when you wake up in the morning, you don't feel heavy and awful. You want your energy to be back a little bit. And they need time to get settled too over there. Which is, they're laughing because they're like, you've said time doesn't exist like 10 times, and now you're saying give yourself some time. But as a human, give yourself some human time just to process a little bit before you, because it can kind of become a habit. You're kind of, once you find somebody that can actually do this, you're going to, if you haven't taken the time to grieve, you're going to want to keep going back because it's like you still have a relationship with them. You've got to get used to life without them first.
Get addicted to seeing Amber.
Yeah. Listen to my family. They all texters questions all the
time. Okay, you're okay with going to these ones?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so you've been a Christian for many years. Can you tell us how your view of God has changed since accepting this gift?
So my view of God, or that highest energy, has changed in the way that there's no negative connotation anymore to it. I chose to become a Christian when I was about 15. I still kind of label myself as that, I think, because I am a spiritual person. I just choose not to believe some of the stuff that I was taught. So any of the punishment for your sins stuff, I'm just not on board anymore because I know that doesn't exist. And also any judgment when you get to the other side. There's no judgment day. The closest thing to it is your life review. And that's a really positive thing, very encouraging to help you move forward and to help you learn and grow. Obviously the hell thing, it doesn't exist. It's a real human way of looking at things in a time when the world was governed by kind of a punishment and control way of thinking to maintain some sort of kind of order in a society that at times had no order. Spirit, in their kind of funny, quirky way, has described the Bible to me as a game of telephone. You know, when you're young, you play telephone and like you sit in a circle with all the students and one whispers to the next a saying, and by the time it gets back around to that person, it's a completely different saying. So it's a very human interpretation of events that did happen, but then were interpreted with a real human lens for thousands of years before they were written down. And into it was added all of these kind of extra things to fit that time. So I still definitely believe in God. I don't always call it God anymore. I refer sometimes as the highest energy, or just kind of like that all-encompassing love on the other side. There's just no room for the judgment or anger or any of those things that a lot of organized religions believe exist.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's good for us. Okay, so you answered, the next question was about, tell us about hell doesn't exist. So, but I want to ask, so what about really, really, really bad people? Everyone always uses the example of Hitler.
Yeah.
People like that, what happens to them? Because people get, a lot of people get comfort thinking that these people are in a really bad place.
They're going to be punished for their sins.
Yes.
So although hell doesn't exist, there's definitely levels on the other side. So most people go to a great place. It's very easy for me to talk to them. The very lowest levels, I don't know what their actual name is. Probably if I did more research, I could find out. But I call them the watery levels. So when I'm talking to my guides or spirits on the other side, it's very clear, concise. I get a real warmth. When I try and talk to people in these watery levels, it's like I'm trying to see and hear them through water. It's really hard. It brings my energy down. And if I'm in a reading where one of these people who has not been a nice person, and these are like people we really would think were not nice, usually they have to have a loved one on the other side that will lend them some energy so they can come forward and talk to me. And normally they only come forward and apologize, and that's kind of all they're allowed to say. They're not stuck there forever. They're going to learn just like us. Kind of the first things that push them out of there is the prayers of their loved ones here on earth, although a lot might not get a lot of those, and then the prayers and thoughts of their loved ones on the other side. They explain it to me that it feels kind of like walking through fog. Like there's no fire and brimstone, but things feel really confusing, and they do a lot of deep thinking about the choices they made in this life and the people they hurt, and then they slowly move up and out of that.
So does everybody that commits suicide go to that place?
Absolutely not. Actually, very rarely do people who commit suicide go to that place. Committing suicide is a very human way of dealing with a problem we think we have. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Sometimes your soul or your human self just decides you've made a mistake, you've planned too much into this life, you added too much to your buffet plate as you were planning your life, and you need to go back, you need to rethink, and you need to replan. Once in a while, if the suicide was committed because someone was being very, very selfish about it, like trying to punish other people, like, you've wronged me so much that now I'm going to take my life, and so you're going to have to live the rest. Once in a while, that soul will choose to go to one of the higher levels of the watery level, but they will move up quite quickly. But normally, no, they're in a really, really, really good place as far as I know so far.
But don't do it.
But don't do it. Because, oh, wait, no, and they're going to explain why. Because although you go to a good place, it's like dropping out of high school. So you're leaving this life, not always, once in a while gets confusing. Once in a while it actually is your end point, and that's how you were supposed to go. A lot of the time it's like an exit point, which I wasn't going to talk about. And you're kind of cutting things short. And so it's like dropping out of high school. So yes, you get to go back to the other side, feel all the wonderful love, be around all your loved ones, start planning your next life, but you have to do it all over again. So you're going to have to plan in similar things to go through and hope that this time you figure your way through it. So it really is like dropping out of high school, and nobody likes to drop out of high school.
There you go. Okay, so what do you want to say to people that think what you're doing is messing with dark magic or evil or stuff like that?
They're saying a joke.
Are they?
Yeah.
Really?
So it's definitely not dark magic. It's actually really light and lovely, but they said this to me a long time ago. So kind of, especially for religious people, they say, well, do religious people talk to Jesus? The answer is usually yes. Well, does Jesus answer? And the answer is usually yes. Then why couldn't just a regular person, why is it different talking to somebody else? They think it's funny that we believe that you can talk to one person who lived a human life, but not other people that have lived human lives. I just think I have to be really accepting of people that believe that, because that's their path and that's their journey and that's what they've chosen to know. Spirit makes me feel like, though, there's going to be quite a shift in the next couple of decades where we're going to really start shifting from that belief to a much lighter one and a much more accepting one. Anything or any belief that completely accepts every single person in this world, every belief, everything, I just don't think can be dark. I just don't. But you're totally entitled to your opinion.
Yeah.
Even if it's wrong. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
That's fine. Okay. So what would you want to say to skeptics?
Well, I think it's good to have a healthy amount of skepticism. Because, yeah, like her, because you don't know until you've experienced it. I will say that no one has ever come to me a skeptic and left a skeptic. But you might not be somebody who's willing to give it a chance or give it a shot or try, and this might be totally in left field for you, and that's completely fine, because as long as you believe in something, what I believe is no better or more than what other people believe, and we're all going to go back to the same home, whether or not you believe in it. So, you know, I'm not there to prove anything to anyone. I'm just there to kind of fulfill my life's purpose, which is to do this.
So I think that's actually it for the questions that we got.
Yay.
Is there anything that you or that Spirit wants to say to sort of, end it? Is there anything that they want people to know or that you want people to know?
They're very excited. I said the other day, and they think it's quite amusing, because I still do. I doubt myself even sometimes. It's the human way of being. And I said, what if like only 12 people watch this? And then what? And they think that's really funny, because that's me even doubting the amount of input and affect, is that the right word, that they have on my life. But I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful that I'm at a point that I can do this and that I feel comfortable doing this. I'm glad she's not a skeptic anymore. She was one of my #1 people to convince in the beginning of this, because even though I was a Christian, she was not. Nobody in my family was. So they didn't have a ton of beliefs other than we're people and we're going through life. They were never negative people, but just not a ton of beliefs.
See it to believe it.
Yeah.
I had to see it to believe it.
So if you've made it all the way through this video, comment and let us know what you think. Let us know if there's other things you would like us to expand on, if something really spoke to you in this video that you would like us to talk about in another one. We're going to try and do a little series. Michelle's moving away though, so I think it's going to be a little harder to fit it in, but we can do Skype once we learn how to be techie. So yeah.
Yeah, we might do a mini series via Skype. So any topics, you know, because she could probably do an hour or half an hour on just soul contracts, or just, you know, how to improve your energy, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So if you have any ideas,
this was just really basic.
And in case you're seeing this on YouTube, because that's where we're going to post it, if you want to hear other topics, go to West Coast. Hold on, what's your Facebook page? It's West Coast Medium. Just search West Coast Medium.
Yeah. I will let you know there's 2 West Coast Mediums. I'm in Canada. There's one in California as well. So
she's the Canadian one.
And then wait, let's read.
And then her webpage. Do you even know what it is?
No. My webpage is www.thewestcoastmedium.com. So you can go on that, or just search West Coast Medium on my Facebook page. Feel free to like our little video so that it gets spread, and share it if you really love us.
If you really love us. And book a reading with Amber, because it's pretty freaking cool.
Yes. I'll make believers of all. Yeah. No.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy New Year, I guess it's
Happy
tomorrow.
New Year. All right.